Hello, everybody. Welcome to TOI Sports, your daily dose of cricket, Indian cricket, and more about cricket right here on TOI Sports YouTube channel. And yet again, we have an interesting topic to discuss. As always, we have a power pack panel joining us from down south, from the confines of his couch, is our very own Dwipayan Datta, or DD, as we like to call him. And then from Mumbai, we've got straight from the Times of India newsroom, Nitin Naik, who joins us. And
Hi.
finally, we have Gigi, our own Gigi, not Gautam Gambhir, Gaurav Gupta, joining us also from Mumbai. But this seems to be a fairly well lit place that Gigi is in. We'll find out more about where he's at. But to start off with Nitin, today's topic, gentlemen, is about WPL. It starts at 7:30 p.m. in an hour's time. The
Hmm.
Women's Premier League, the third edition, starts off this year. I just want to pick your brains because I was just wondering. We've had two seasons of WPL. Nitin, I want to start off with you. What do you think you're hoping to see from WPL this year, and how do you think it will impact women's cricket going forward for India, especially?
Firstly, for Indian cricket's sake, I want to see Shefali get back into form. She's had a rough year or 18 months, which cost her, which made her, unfortunately, even lose her spot. Just a sec. Sorry. Yeah, which caused her to lose her spot, and then and like last season, we saw stars like Shreyanka Patil and all emerge. So this year also, I hope that some of the girls who were part of the under 19 T20 World Cup, establish themselves and become stars. And I think we need bigger. We need names or players who can push the likes of Harmanpreet and Mandana and create a little bit more competition with the batting department, especially. Um, with I think the bowling is pretty much sorted. There's Renuka, there is Shreyanka, but I feel that and I hope that the matches are a little bit more tightly contested this year. I was hoping actually, this is a bit of a scheduling blunder. I feel on the part of the BCCI. I thought that with them getting so much bandwidth after RCB won the title last year, I thought they should have started the tournament with RCB playing in Bangalore. I think that would have given the tournament the lift that it needs, especially at a time when most people's attention is focused on the Champions Trophy. So I feel that that's a scheduling blunder that has happened. But I hope that Shefali gets back into form. And I disagree with what Harmanpreet Kaur said in one of her PCs, that she said that this tournament will help them prepare for the ODI World Cup. I think T20 and 50 over cricket are two completely different formats.
Gaurav, since you track the BCCI the most amongst all of us, why have they committed this blunder that Nitin pointed out? The match not starting in Bangalore, WPL, and instead starting in Baroda or Vadodara, as it is called. Any particular reason for that, in your view?
I think, Chandesh, what happens is that in case of a final and the playoffs, generally the BCCI, especially in the case of final, they kept the final in Mumbai at CCI. So I think they expect a bit of a star gathering there. एक दो film stars आ जाएंगे, some dignitaries, maybe somebody from ICC, Jay Bhai Jay Shah can also come. So maybe I think शायद वो थोड़ा thinking रहता है that final होगा तो they can hype up the final if it's in a big city. So I was also surprised because I initially got to know जब ये WPL का गवर्निंग काउंसिल का मीटिंग हुआ था, that day I was told that the tournament will start in Mumbai, go to other cities, and then end in Vadodara, where they have a new ground there, that Kautambi Stadium. It's a state of the art, beautiful stadium, one of the perhaps top 5 in India right now in terms of infrastructure. Because I went there to cover the India West Indies Women's ODI series, and I was very highly impressed by the stadium and all the facilities that were there. So I think वहीं पर finalize हो गया उसी time during that series that this stadium is good enough to host, and also it will act as a host for Gujarat Giants, who have till now not got the chance to play matches at home, whereas RCB, MI, all these teams and Delhi Capitals have had a chance to host matches at home. So I think, as Nitin said rightly, I think ये तो definitely होना ही चाहिए था, that RCB they should have started with RCB playing at home. But I'm a bit disappointed overall also with the lack of hype around it, and I was pretty shocked when I came to know, and I remember calling up Nitin in the evening to make that change in my copy, that that the tournament, that they decided to overlap it with the Champions Trophy. That was a shocker for me. I thought they could have started much earlier. As Nitin is rightly saying, and that is obviously going to kill a lot of space for them. With the Champions Trophy के साथ ही आपने उसको, but I think they want to sort of make it a property into its they want to now third season आ गया है. They also want to test कि इस property में कितना दम है, क्या है. So maybe they're confident about it. And overall, as in terms of expectations, as Nitin said, I do. I mean, it's high time that good batters come out of this exercise. This whole league. Otherwise, थोड़ा सा pointless है, because you need, and I hope the boundaries are not have not been shortened like they did in the case of the first WPL. And I hope that rule has been revised, because that is the basic self-destructing blunder that this league has suffered from.
Dwepen, has the tournament served its purpose in your view?
Mm, India has been a bit of an up and down women's side, if I am not wrong. Like it has got more eyeballs. That is for sure. More people seem to be interested in it. So from that point of view, it must have. And young people coming in, like maybe going forward, the way it had happened for IPL, that cricket can be taken up as a profession, that happened, that belief started coming into parents of middle class people when IPL happened. Not that everyone happened to play IPL, but that belief came in. So I think for women's cricket, something of this was needed, where the parents of aspiring girls who want to become cricketers have something to look forward to. There's money, there's fame, there is something to look forward to. Not those sporadic one or two bilateral matches here and there which nobody cares, and it gets relegated to a passing mention in the newspaper. So that should not happen. So in the if we look at it from that perspective, I think there is an interest because it is on TV. But again, there is the counterpoint being, like as Gigi said, I do not quite understand why it is happening with Champions Trophy. Maybe they do not have a window, or they believe that in Champions Trophy, barring India's games, no one is the Indian or
Hmm.
television audience will not bother for any of the other matches. So, and India matches are 3 to 5 games. So that could be the reason.
Nitin, this is a very good point that Gigi brought up about the fact that it is overlapping with the Champions Trophy. Uh, but like, if you're trying to build a property, this is the perfect opportunity to create an identity for a product like the WPL. So, do you think that that may have been the right call by the BCCI or the WPL governing council?
They're hoping that it would be the right call. One good thing that the broadcasters or the schedule makers of the WPL have done is that they have thankfully not kept any WPL games
Hmm.
on the 20th, 23rd, and the 2nd. So on the days that India are playing their league games. So that's somewhere. Thankfully, someone has used their head over there. But I feel that they just needed to maybe you know host it a month in advance, just after just after Christmas, and into the new year. Then that would have given both this tournament as well as this is nothing to do with this may sound very sexist, but when a women's Premier League event is pitched against an event like the Champions Trophy, which involves the Indian men's team, I mean, we all know where the eyeballs and the television ratings will be. Yes, one of the reasons one of the reasons why they have said is that barring India games, maybe there will not be interest, but we never know. I mean, I generally feel that the build-up has not been, also because I think if we compare it to the first edition of the IPL, what happened for the IPL was India winning the T20 World Cup, which gave it the whole momentum swing that the tournament needed. Also, the BCCI needed its own flagship T20 event after the ICL sprung up, so they went hammer and tongs at it. With the WPL, what has happened is, the Indian women's team in T20 cricket has really struggled. I know they have not been doing well at all. They got knocked out in the first round, failed to qualify into the semis. So had they won that T20 World Cup in Dubai, I think this WPL would have really given it a boost. But I think the under 19 victory maybe has created a little bit of interest. But I still feel that it will struggle to get the attention and the media coverage that it deserves when it compares to the Champions Trophy.
Gaurav, India has won the two under 19 women's T20 World Cup that has happened till date. It's too early to say whether the future is looking very bright. We've had such false dawn with Indian men's cricket as well. We've done well in under 19 cricket, but most of the guys have not graduated to the top level. Now, with this two victories in the under 19 Women's World Cup and then this WPL, why? What is it that the women's team in the ODI and T20 format, what is it that they lack in your view?
They lack bat. I think they lack young batters coming through here. I think. I mean, I was impressed that in that India West Indies series, Pratika Rawal came up and she did pretty well. In all the three games she did pretty well, and then after that also she's been doing well, and she seems to be a very bright prospect. And I was telling that to the other day I met Amol Muzumdar informally, and I told him that I was really impressed, and he said yeah, that we've been trying to groom her, and Harleen Deol has come along well at number three. I really hope that we have a lot of batting options around the big two, Harman and Smriti. And Harman also needs to deliver. For a while, she's been sort of not getting the kind of runs that she used to get earlier. I mean, I know that she's a big tournament player, but थोड़ा सा उनको करना पड़ेगा, because this is the ODI World Cup here at the end of the year, at the end of the day. So her form is going to be pretty crucial, because if she does have a bad World Cup, there are going to be serious questions asked, because I have covered a lot of bilaterals where she has failed consistently throughout. So there's a lot of chances that are given to her only on the. Let's accept it. She's almost like the Virat Kohli of Indian women's cricket. आपको मालूम है कि जबरदस्त talent है, and phenomenal player. When she gets going, she's the best in the world easily. So I can understand where that patience is coming from. But at the same time, it also complacency sets in. I think when you give somebody that kind of a run. So थोड़ा सा वो, I think this year is going to be pretty crucial for her. She's not getting any younger, so injuries भी हो रही हैं. So I think in that, and there's also a lot of pressure in terms of captaincy, because Smriti has been batting pretty well. She had a sensational 2024 in all the three formats, ODI especially. So in fact, I actually tweeted that maybe she deserves the captaincy in this form. But then Harman has been somebody the team has been sort of playing for a long time under, and they're used to her captaincy style and so on and so forth. So I think इस tournament से हमें कुछ मतलब अगर चाहिए तो definitely batters चाहिए, and a few good fielders as well. That is also something that is our fielding and fitness have been lacking for a while, and that is what costs us in the big tournaments. And unless this translates into, this whole WPL exercise translates into potentially good India players, not just potential India players, potentially good India players who come there and go to that stage and perform. तो थोड़ा सा otherwise थोड़ा सा वो हो जाएगा ये, this exercise is going to be a bit of a dampener, but I do hope that it picks up. I wish there was a more of a hype around the build up to the tournament. कुछ all captains press conference होता या कुछ होता, but unfortunately हो नहीं पाया because a lot of teams that I spoke to, they were traveling directly to Vadodara and they had a camp like the Lucknow the Lucknow Warriors. They had a camp in the UP Warriors. UP Warriors had a camp in Surat, and then they moved to Vadodara for their matches. So they obviously could not have a press conference or the media interaction in Mumbai. But ये थोड़ा सा I think Mumbai and Delhi and the bigger cities का advantage है, Bengaluru कि आप you can get a bit of media attention there, and smaller cities. But I think I can understand where the BCCI is also coming from. They want to spread the tournament, which is why it's being taken to more and more cities and so on and so forth. So I guess in the long term it will pay off.
I just
Uh,
wanted to make one small point, Chandresh, here that just like in 2008 when the IPL had begun, Virat Kohli's team had just won the Under 19 World Cup. So what the IPL organizers and the BCCI did was introduce a draft system to get in some Under 19 players into the IPL teams. That's how Virat Kohli went to RCB and he's been there ever since. So I thought that something similar could have been done for the women's Under 19 team that had won to get certain players into the and have a draft system. Maybe not pay them as much, but just so that they could have been more incentive. And I think that was another opportunity that was missed.
Dwepan, building on the points that both Gaurav and Nitin said, is it a case of the what used to happen with IITs and IIMs in the past? And there's a famous dialogue that Nitin will relate to from the movie Swades. What's that? Where our boys lighting up someone else's house. One of the
Ah,
characters says that. So
yeah, yeah.
is the WPL like the brain drain that used to happen in the past, where our tournament or India's tournament is ending up helping other teams' players because they are getting solid remuneration, they're getting game time, and they're probably even improving as individual players. Is that the worry also with this WPL if it doesn't end up helping Indian women's team? Because remember, the men took about 16 years after the IPL started to win a T20 World Cup.
Uh, that may be true, Chandresh, but the point is, yes, as you were saying, like it was true for men's cricket also, and for a league to be successful, you have to have foreign players who will be part of it, and Indian players being part of the same dressing room, learning from the greats of the game. Uh, it should only help them get better. I will just take a slightly wide angle view of it instead of just going into this thing. I think there is a systemic problem as to why women's cricket does not flourish. See, I am based out of a city which is crazy about cricket, which is the the best managed franchisee there ever can be, and still they do not have a women's team. They did not bother to have a women's team in the in WPL. When I walk in the in my complex, there's on the cricket pitch, I see 20-30 boys playing, but I never see a girl playing cricket. So but when you walk in maybe Hagley Park in Christchurch in New Zealand, you will see girls playing cricket. It comes naturally to them, like because they have sports in their curriculum, and girls take up cricket as one of their as one of the subjects. So the problem is systemic. I think India does not have a big enough pool to be competitive in as like to the level that we are in men's cricket. India probably does not have that kind of a pool in women's cricket. So that culture needs to change, and I think that culture can only change if India wins an Olympic medal in women's cricket. Then it will get the arc light that it demands, that it should get, and that should probably bring about a bigger change in women's cricket.
Oh, that's interesting. And so we also know that Dwepen's been to Christchurch in New Zealand. So he certainly put that in as well in his
No,
reply.
like because I remember that. No, because if you, because that is one place where so many people play together, and there are girls playing cricket. I could not think of an example offhand to uh, summarize my point. I do
No, no,
not
I get your
exactly.
point.
No, there
No,
is no reason for me to say that I have been to Christchurch. Like
I was just
it
pulling a
doesn't,
leg on that.
even if I did it, I hadn't been to it, wouldn't have made any difference.
No, this is a perfect segue for me to move to our next topic about travel. And tomorrow, the Indian men's team head off to Dubai for the Champions Trophy for their leg of matches to be played in Champions Trophy. It was the 15th, and the coming week or the coming couple of weeks will probably be the first big test for the BCCI and its so-called tough travel policy, whether it's with regards to families, luggage, so on and so forth. We had a story in one of the leading Hindi newspapers about how one player was using 27 bags, not nothing less, nothing more, 27 bags, no names taken. Gaurav knows the name, so he's looking away. Uh, so will that be something that, apart from the performance, because remember, Nitin, we'll have about 9 days between the Pakistan game and the last league game. So you'll have 9 days for everybody to sort of do something around that story as well, to see if this policy is really being implemented.
Yeah, I mean, generally when there is such a big gap, and with the board and the people who handle the media for the BCCI not scheduling a player interaction on a daily basis like most other teams do, so I think the media is forced to to look for other story angles, because the bosses who invest money on their reporters and send them to these assignments, they also expect some output. Apart from the basic story, they also require another story that that fills up their pages, or fills up airtime on television networks. But I don't know whether this will prove to be a source of distraction. I mean, Rohit Sharma was very defiant about it when the Champions Trophy team was announced here, and he said, and he asked a reporter, "Who told you?" I do not know whether that question and that answer were both scripted. It sounded like it was, but but it just feels a little bit strange that the BCCI again kind of telling the manager who from the Hyderabad Cricket Association, who's traveling with the team, to see that these rules are enforced. Anyway, this is a very short tournament, and with the team, with Bangladesh in the group and Pakistan in the group, if even if the, and with matches being played largely in in conditions which should favor the team, if even then, if India do not make it to the semi-final, then I think these we'll see more conspiracy theories. We'll see more source stories. We'll see more news about infighting in the dressing room. So yeah, I just feel that this is another needless distraction.
So the question comes directly to you, Gaurav, since you are the man who's going to be on ground. Will we get more stories of that nature from you in the Times of India newspaper and website? The nation wants to know.
I think it will all, as Nitin said, it will be about how the team performs. If we win the first two matches, trust me, nobody's going to bother
No, so
क्या policy
hand
है
on
क्या
chest,
नहीं है.
hand on your heart, sorry, hand on your heart, and say that the 9 day gap, you will only focus on the performances on the ground and not about the policy.
There is actually technically not a 9 day gap, Chandresh, because
7 day.
February is actually of 28
Oh, yeah,
days.
yeah, I keep forgetting.
February
Yeah, yeah.
comprises 20. मैं भी एक अच्छा खा गया था, and I was actually
हाँ,
quite scared to go, because in my mind I was thinking कि मैं क्या लिखूंगा वहां जाके, because बीच में बहुत लंबा gap है. Then I realized that actually technically 24, 25, 26 are your dry days. Hopefully 27th onwards New Zealand will be there, and the Indian team will also release a player to talk and so on. तो इसलिए ये जो speculation के days हैं ये हैं definitely. अगर पहले दो मैच हार गए तो ये bombarding होगा ये सब stories का, और एक बंदा करेगा और सब लोग उसको follow करेंगे. You know how the herd mentality is in our media. So like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But having said that, I was reading a story in Crickbuzz that yesterday. I think Mr. Vijay Tagore's story. It was interesting that, as Nitin pointed out, that ये हैदराबाद क्रिकेट के सेक्रेटरी को बोला गया है जो मैनेजर बन के जा रहे हैं मिस्टर देवराज को कि this policy needs to be followed. But having said that, let me tell you, I've been speaking to the players, and all of them have been repeating to me what रोहित शर्मा said in the press conference कि ऐसा कोई पॉलिसी का डॉक्यूमेंट उनको अभी तक थमा के नहीं दिया गया है. They are saying we are still waiting for it. कि ऐसा कोई पॉलिसी है, तो मतलब उनके हाथ में नहीं आया अभी तक. तो रोहित शर्मा झूठ नहीं बोल रहे थे. शायद क्वेश्चन स्क्रिप्टेड हो सकता है, आंसर स्क्रिप्टेड हो सकता है, लेकिन वो पॉलिसी अभी तक प्लेयर्स, मुझे लग रहा है ये सब मीडिया को बताने के लिए किया जा रहा है कि देखो हमने ये किया है, वो कर दिया है, और प्लेयर्स को थोड़ा सा बाहर से प्रेशर डालने के लिए कि आप खुद ही समझ जाइए और ये सब चीजें अवॉइड कीजिए. Having
तो ये
said
जो
that,
खिलाड़ी
basically
कौन है जो 27 बैग लेके जा रहा था?
ये खिलाड़ी तो वही होगा जिसके कि 27 शतक तो है कम से कम, ऐसा ही कोई होगा कोई मतलब इट कैन नॉट बी अ नीतीश रेड्डी और इट कैन नॉट बी अ स्मॉल प्लेयर हु इज जस्ट कमिंग टू द इंडियन टीम, इट हैज टू बी समबडी अ स्टार सुपरस्टार, क्योंकि छोटा मोटा प्लेयर तो बेचारा इतना नहीं वो करेगा, ये तो कोई बड़ा प्लेयर ही है, कोई स्टार प्लेयर ही है जो जिसके बैट उठाने के लिए भी 27 लोग हैं।
नहीं, बट आप कुछ पॉइंट बोल रहे थे मेरे सवाल पूछने से पहले, अभी काउंटर सवाल पूछने से पहले, कि क्या ये वाला पॉलिसी एक बहुत प्रेस्टीज इशू बन चुका है बीसीसीआई के लिए? ये मतलब
ये
नॉट जस्ट द बैक,
हाँ,
द 10 पॉइंट्स, ऑल द 10 पॉइंट्स, आर दिस नाउ, इज दिस नाउ अ प्रेस्टीज इशू फॉर द बीसीसीआई?
आई थिंक प्रेस्टीज इशू नहीं, मुझे लगता है जो आगरकर ने कहा ना प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में, चंदेश, वो इन द व्हेन दे वर अनाउंसिंग द प्रोविजनल स्क्वाड फॉर द चैंपियंस, फर्स्टली दे शुड हैव यूज्ड द वर्ड प्रोविजनल इन द व्हेन दे अनाउंस द स्क्वाड फॉर द चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी, क्योंकि उसमें तो मतलब रोहित शर्मा, यशस्वी जायसवाल ऐसे हैं वैसे हैं सब तारीफ करके अब पता चला यशस्वी जायसवाल टीम में ही नहीं है। तो वो जो प्रोविजनल स्क्वाड अनाउंस हुआ था उसमें जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में आगरकर ने बोली ये चीज कि ये जो है ये पॉलिसी जो है इट वाज ऑलवेज देयर इन प्लेस, इट्स जस्ट दैट इट वाज नेवर पुट टू पेपर एंड नाउ फाइनली वी हैव जॉटेड डाउन द पॉइंट्स कि भाई ये चीजें होनी चाहिए। ठीक है, मुझे लगता है कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कुछ चीजें हुई हैं जिनकी ये उत्पन्न है, और ये स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम कोच ही है, क्योंकि हेड कोच सबसे ज्यादा तो ये न्यूज में आ रहा है कि हेड कोच के जो सेक्रेटरी है वो टीम बस में ट्रैवल करते हैं, वो पीएमओ एरिया में रहते हैं, ये सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, सो आई थिंक इट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम देयर। But I eventually, and this has been told to by people to me by people in the BCCI, that eventually the national team's performance matters. These are all sidey things just to keep us journalists busy. If the team wins, if the team does well, as I mean, Josh Butler said, I think before the first T20, I remember us carrying a copy that हमारे यहाँ तो ये सब फैमिली वगैरह का पोस्ट कोविड अब हो ही गया कि फैमिली ट्रैवल करती हैं. It's basically about on-field performance. If that is good, and the unity, the bonding has to come from within, from the play for the players. But yeah, I do agree that ये this 15-day 20-day window जो reintroduce किया गया है, that a lot of people are telling me, a lot of former players, that it is a good step, because having too much of family time in on a tour is also not good, because you're all the time worried about what your family is doing, especially if it's a young family, you have small kids, this and that, and you do get distracted. So in that sense, it's a good. I think Champions Trophy में उतना यार issue नहीं होगा. It's a short tournament. I mean, isn't it? It's not like 45-day tour, 50-day tour. वहां पर ही I think home sickness और ये सब issue आता है. So that is where you need to implement these things strictly, if at all they're there in the.
Dwepan, I remember watching an interview of Alan Border a few years ago, where he said that on 1985 Ashes, he saw his one of his key openers, I forget his name. He was walking in the corridor with his newborn. Jeff Marsh was walking in the corridor with his baby, newborn baby, and trying to put him to sleep. I may be wrong with the name, but and he said that that sort of distracted his team. On the 85 Ashes, they ended up losing. In 89 Ashes, they made a policy that the family will come. Even if they come, they will not be in the same hotel. They can be in a different hotel, because he wanted the team to be one as a unit. And those days in 89, it used to be a 5-month tour for Ashes. Now, it's the first big test for the BCCI now, whether they're able to put the superstars on a leash in all aspects. If you look at the 10 points, there are different aspects to it, all the 10 points. Do you expect that to be a major focus of this particular tour? How disciplined the side is off the field and on the field?
No, I don't think these points have ever made a difference to Indian cricket in the past few years. They had been the two home series losses, and the one home series loss to New Zealand had nothing to do with wives staying or not staying with them. And
I
this
think,
has all,
sorry. I just wanted to say it's not just
yeah.
about the wives. It's also about the fact that the luggage. Team
So how does
traveling as uh, team traveling as one unit, because you had players in Australia who were traveling separately, separate to the other rest of the squad. That's what I wanted to point out.
I'm sure there is precedence of that before, and it was all fine till India was winning. The problem is India
Hmm.
did not win a couple of test matches, and that's why these things came about. And these rules that have been brought in, those were there before COVID also. Like there was a period of time for which uh, your family could come and be with you, etc., etc. but the change happened post COVID. And another thing is the players are have got used to these facilities in their IPL franchises. They get these facilities. There is a separate kids room for players when it comes to the franchises. They are treated like that. So that amount of pampering, they have slightly got used to it. So which BCCI wants to cartel. It's fine whether they will cartel or not, whether it will be carteled or not. But the players, the standard that they are of, I do not think the family, etc. Carrying luggage, carrying your own cook, these matter in any way. It is just about the performance in the middle, which uh, which was not at its best in Australia, and only that, and that if it takes care of itself, it's fine. I do not think this disciplinary policy is going to make any difference to Indian cricket whatsoever, and it will probably die out in due course once India starts winning.
Yeah, because
Nitin,
just a second, Chandresh, because Dwaipan was there in the USA and the West Indies, and the players were all traveling by themselves, and the families were there with them throughout, and nobody made any song and dance about it because India ended up winning the tournament.
Exactly, and the chef was traveling. The Surya
yeah, because I
Yeah,
Kumar
think
Hardik,
a couple of
their own
players were
chefs
staying
were
separate to
traveling,
the rest of the team in
and
New York.
they stay on their own. They stay in B&Bs, which is not in the team hotel. The all the bookings are done by the players. So what is the problem in that?
No, no, I believe that couple of players were staying separate to the team in New York. The team was staying closer to the ground in New York, and the couple of the superstar players were staying in
yeah,
Manhattan. So that has happened last year. So I think nothing succeeds like success, I suppose. Nitin, you're bit of a historian yourself. You know about
mm,
remember about the rules that Ajit Wadekar brought in
yeah,
'93,
mm,
and it did make a difference for a while because the team
yeah.
kept winning at home.
Mm.
Do you and slowly those sort of started getting forgotten. Do you expect more of the same if the team starts winning more?
I don't think so. I don't think you can, you can put a leash on players as such. Yes, there has to be basic team etiquette, but then to really ask them to, otherwise you might soon have a Simon Katich, Michael Clark scenario in the Indian dressing room. You know, like when Simon Katich grabbed hold of Michael Clark because he wanted him to hang around for the team song, and Michael Clark said, "No, I have an evening out with my girlfriend scheduled." And we don't really need any kind of bust ups in the dressing room. And I think everybody is an adult. They spend so much of time together on the road, and sometimes I really feel that having families around helps you to unwind, take your mind off. And I think, and I mean, I've heard stories, especially from the railways players who used to travel together, in railway compartments, that uh, after a day's play or after a day's play is over, they used to have, because they used to share rooms, and sometimes some of their batting issues used to get sorted just by talking to somebody who was sleeping adjacent to you. So maybe that is one of the reasons that the BCCI feels maybe they are not talking about cricket enough. That is why I think maybe they have brought in these kind of rules. Maybe the players, after the game is done, maybe they can have a 45-minute debrief, which I'm sure must be happening. Or they must be having a debrief in the dressing room that हमने कहाँ सही किया कहाँ गलत किया. But to expect them to follow every rule to the T. I mean, everybody is professional. The fact that they're traveling with their own chef means that they're very particular about what they want to eat, when they want to eat. So they are only being professional in that, and I don't think that should be stopped. I'm sure all the top footballers, tennis players, and all travel with their own stringers, own physios, even in team sport like football. So if someone wants to enhance their game by being a little more professional, so I think that should be encouraged and not discouraged.
So, final couple of questions. First to Gaurav. Is there a press conference tomorrow, Gaurav? If there is, what's the one question that you would ask the captain or coach, whoever comes for the press conference?
Chandresh, there's no pre-departure press conference. I was told by the BCCI because the turnaround time is very short. They're leaving tomorrow, and I think once they land there, I think isn't it up to the ICC to organize a press conference? This is an ICC event, so I
So
think
that can happen both ways. They can have a pre-tournament press conference, like there's a captain's day, and if the team wants, they can also organize a press conference.
I think a captain's जो basic एक event होता है, wherein all captains come together for photo shoot and maybe even a press
No, no,
conference.
it doesn't
That
happen
event,
for That doesn't
yeah,
happen for
exactly,
Champions
because
Trophy. It doesn't happen for
that,
Champions Trophy.
yeah,
It
it
is only
doesn't.
individual
So
captain's press conference.
correct, correct, correct. So maybe I have a feeling that after landing there, maybe a couple of days later, शायद वो लोग कुछ करें, as and when more reporters arrive, they do have, or maybe the first time they will talk to the press could be on 18th, on the 18th, a couple of days before the match and 18th, and that is the feeling that I got from the media team of the BCCI. That 18th and 19th will definitely be media activities. So I think 18th को हो सकता है कि कप्तान आए और बात करें लंबा चौड़ा, and
Because they'll
19th to
have a
have the
captain's day
or
and
or maybe that 18th to have, sorry.
they'll have a captain's day press conference. Plus, they'll have activity also like photo shoot, bat signing, those kind of things as well in the coming days.
बट वो कैप्टन कैसे होएगा, मतलब कैप्टन वहां पे
Cap
तो
cap
सारे कैप्टन तो पाकिस्तान में है.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, आप समझे नहीं.
हाँ.
हर टीम के कैप्टन का अलग अलग प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस होगा. तो मतलब वो
ओके.
तो इंडिया का, पाकिस्तान का, जो अलग अलग टाइम पे अलग अलग होटल्स में
हाँ हाँ
अलग
हाँ
अलग जगह पे प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस होगा, वो मैं कह रहा था आपसे.
हाँ हाँ,
So
वो होगा होगा.
that
आई
you will
थिंक आई
have.
थिंक वो 18, हाँ हाँ, दैट विल हैपन, बट आई डोंट सी एनीथिंग हैपनिंग इन द इमीडिएट फ्यूचर. आई थिंक 2-3 दिन इंडियन टीम वहां पर भी लैंड करेगी, रिलैक्स करेगी, ट्रेन करेगी. दे हैव जस्ट कम ऑफ अ सीरीज, and then maybe I am expecting a presser on, if the first presser of the Indian team about the Champions Trophy on 18th, and then 19th, and then the match.
So
So
what's the
like
one
that. That
question
is
you
the
want to
indication.
ask the captain?
Oh, that's interesting. Is this going to be your last Champions Trophy? Considering you just got 100, or you're going to, or are you planning to play the 2031 Champions Trophy also? Oh, sorry,
39.
2029.
No,
Yeah,
that's going to happen in India. So that's an incentive.
yeah, yeah. Clearly, he might want to play. You never know.
Dwepan, if you are the one asking a question to the captain, what's the one question you want to ask the India captain?
Hmm, difficult to say. What would I would probably have asked something about the team composition, because I- yeah, if in a I asked something in a serious way, I would have asked something about the team composition, about the three spinners, who will he play, Varun Chakravarti or Kuldeep. I think that's the most pertinent point.
Finally, Nitin, if you had to ask one question to the India captain at this press conference, which is not happening tomorrow, but when it happens before the tournament starts, what's that one question you will ask?
Did he miss a chance on June 29th, Barbados, to announce his retirement
Oh, from all formats.
from all formats?
Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a big one. And he announced the T20 retirement also because a person in that in that blue T-shirt asked that question.
Hmm.
Otherwise, he would have announced that as well.
He would not
So
have, yeah, yeah,
the person in blue T-shirt should have asked a more pointed question whether you're announcing retirement from all formats.
yeah,
You would
yeah.
The
have
pressure on the
tweeted the
one.
next day. I just made the job of ourselves a little easier. You would have
Now the
tweeted
pressure
the
is on the one in the white hoodie to ask that question to the captain of India.
बिल्ली के गले में घंटी कौन बांधेगा भाई? चीफ सेलेक्टर नहीं
क्या
पूछ
कह
पा
रहा
रहे, तो
हूँ?
हेड कोच
व्हाइट
नहीं पूछ
हुडी,
पा रहे, मैं कैसे?
व्हाइट हुडी में जो है उसको सवाल पूछना है. On that note, thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining us today on TOI Sports. Please,
Thank you.
all you viewers, please keep liking, sharing, subscribing the channel, and don't forget to press the notification bell. This is yet another week that has come to an end. We'll join again on Monday. Till then, take care of yourself, gentlemen. Take care of yourselves, and Gaurav Gupta, safe travels.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.